Hey there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Today I am playing along with Crystal Barrett over at Pineapple Papers and the Off the Board series. Today I am inspired by this landscape post that I had on my Pinterest board and that little walkway there. And so I looked far and wide and found this cut file that reminded me of it. This had been in my mind to do for quite a while. And I tried doing it by just cutting rectangles myself, but I don't know, my brain couldn't process it or something. I just had such a hard time trying to get them lined up right. And so as I was doing some other things, I found that there was a cut file in kind of that same herringbone type of pattern. So I've chosen these 3 papers from Chamel, and you can see the little white cutouts that are left over from the cut file. And so I've cut these papers just slightly larger, and I've cut a stack of them, and I'm not going to make you watch me putting all of these together and gluing them to this background, but I wanted to show you what I started with. So I started with the 3 papers and the negative space, or those blanks that came out of the cut file, and I cut strips of paper and then I cut them to be the correct length, and I just made piles so that I could just go through and do it really easily. I wouldn't have to sit there and cut each one individually. So my strips of paper were like 1¼ inch wide by however long, and then, you know, if I had a 12-inch piece of paper, it would be a 12-inch strip, and then I would cut them at, like, I don't remember, it was like 2¼ or something like that to get the right length. So that made it really quick to process cutting all of these pieces, and that works great on a geometric pattern with no corners or round edges. So it made it really easy to fill this out, and I really love how it came out. And there it is, all done. I just think it's so beautiful. In fact, I had thought about making this a double-page layout and cutting that in half and putting it with another piece of pattern paper, and then I was like, once I saw it, oh no, forget it, I love it. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So I have these 3 photos of my daughter and my grandson out for a walk at a local, it's an art center that has a lot of gardens and foliage, and it backs up to the Santa Cruz Mountains that has a lot of trees and hiking trails. So the center one is larger because it has the 2 of them walking across the bridge facing forward. The other 2, they are walking away from me, so I got their backsides. And I love taking photos from the back, especially when people are holding hands walking. I think it's just adorable and cute. And I had originally printed these photos, all 3 the same size. And you're going to see I have the center one the same size as the 2 smaller ones, but when I printed it I had zoomed in on them a little bit. So what I did was I kept that center piece, the one that's the same size, and it's zoomed in a little bit, and I put it right on top of the other one. So that you still get all of the foliage, but they are a little larger in the photo, and I really like how that came out. It's not something I do often. In fact, I'm not sure if I've ever done that before. But I really love the way that it came out, and I added some fun foam underneath it, so they are popped up as well, so it adds a lot of dimension, and it gives a little extra importance to that photo. Now, all of these papers that I'm using are from Chamel. I had cut apart one of the field trip papers that has all of these leaves in it some time ago, probably last fall, and they were just sitting in with a lot of the ephemera that I have from her. And I decided to use it on this layout, and it worked out perfectly because this layout's about, you know, walking out in the forest and having an adventure and just enjoying the nature. And so I thought those were perfect. I really enjoyed also bringing in a little bit of blue and yellow. I thought that played nicely with all of those greens in the background, because those greens, one of those papers has a little bit more of a yellowy green and one has a little bit more of a blue green. It works perfectly. So I am pulling out some thickers, and I really like this word adventure, and I wanted to use that. I knew I had that in my stash, and I knew that was the one that I really wanted to use. I was hoping I could figure out a way to get it on this layout. And I really like that it has that swooshy kind of feel to it. I'm not sure. It's a bit curved. It's not straight. I'm not sure if I'm really explaining that right, but I like that it has a feel of movement to it. So it's definitely going on this layout. So for these leaves, I have used my ATG gun to adhere the pieces that go under the photo. And then I am using some fun foam to stick under the pieces that are the furthest from the photo to give some dimension and a little bit of pop, so that when I stick it in a page protector, they don't all just flatten out. And this is a technique I use quite often with probably almost every layout. If I want to add a little dimension, just add a little foam to the area that you want popped up. And some of those leaves had like some sharp edges cut on them because they were from like the edges of papers. And if you just tuck them in just right underneath the other leaves, you can't tell. And you can see how I did that with that blue one right there and the yellow one that I'm placing right now. I did cut this turquoisey one apart from the one at the top because I only had one of those. And I didn't want to cut into another sheet of paper just to get that one leaf so that I'd have it at the bottom. So I just cut it in two, and it works out fine, bringing that color down to the bottom as well. And that provides a little bit of continuity, and it's not exactly mirrored, but it is, you know, essentially I want the same colors at the top as at the bottom so that it provides balance. And this layout is not going to have 3 clusters like most of the layouts that, well, many of the layouts that I do have. It just has 2. It's a diagonal design, even though there are 3 photos front and center. The embellishments clusters make it more of a diagonal, and I like how it looks at the end. And I just can't get over how much I really like that background paper as well. So I'm going through the ephemera that I have from the Chamel collections. I've got this camera piece, and lately I've been noticing that a lot of the pieces, maybe it's just my taste, but a lot of the pieces of ephemera, not just from her collection, but from like all of the collections, have so much white around the edge. And I like the white around it, but it's so chunky that I've been kind of trimming them down lately, so it's not quite such a big border around each of those ephemera pieces. Now I have this little piece that says Cool, that is from her field trip collection, I believe, and so I was going to have it say Cool Adventure, but the piece just didn't feel quite right to me. I left it there for a while thinking about it, and it will get replaced. I don't know why I didn't like it. I just kind of felt a little bit like too cutesy, maybe? I'm not sure. Or too, I don't know. It didn't have the right feel for this layout. So this piece from Into the Wild, this came from one of her cut-apart sheets. And when I cut it out of the cut-apart sheet, I did not cut it into a perfect square. There were no lines around it for me to follow, so I just kind of chopped it out. And now I'm just trying to cut it into a square, and I'm lining it up on my mat there behind to make sure that I get it straight. I could have done that on my trimmer, but because the piece is kind of small and none of the sides were straight, I couldn't really, whatever I started with would be like the angle that all of the sides would be at. So I needed to at least get one of the sides flat and straight. And given that I'm putting it on an angle, it wouldn't have mattered so much as if I was doing like, say, a grid layout or something like that. Then I'd really want to make sure it was straight. But, you know, so I ended up just making it straight anyway, even though it probably wouldn't have mattered if it was perfect or not. And I really like the colors in that because it ties everything together, and that is from her newest collection, Never Grow Up, which goes so well with those leaves that are from Field Trip. So then I'm going through all of these sticker sheets and trying to see if there's any other word phrases that I want to add, or any other cameras or anything like that. I toy with putting this little tree on there, and then when I lay that butterfly on there, I thought, oh my gosh, that's perfect. I love how the butterfly looks there. And this gold piece from Go Now Go, one of her other collections, and it brings the gold up to the top from down below where the adventure is in gold. And so I like that. Again, I want to mirror the same colors from down below up into the top to provide, again, continuity. And then I am popping up the top two wings of that butterfly, so it gives some more added dimension. And it's not making it super thick because if you remember, the leaves, their added dimension is out at the ends of the leaves, and so these are kind of like, you know, towards the middle of the leaf. And I've got this little green saying here, and I thought I'd try and get that on the layout. It's not going to make it, but it did prompt me to go back to this sheet of paper that has all these little sayings, and that's from one of her super early collections. I'm not sure if it was Starshine or her very first collection or what. I actually don't remember right off the top of my head, but I cut out this little blue one that says lovely, so that is going to take the place of that piece that said cool on it. And I like this better. It's not so like fun and kind of, it's a little more serious. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right word. The cool one that said cool, I guess it felt more sporty to me than this one. This one feels a little more elegant. So it definitely worked well, and I actually like that it pops a little bit more as well. And now I'm going to add my journaling. I have this paper pad that has a dotted grid on it, and this is actually a paper pad that I got from Shamel when I went to her Disney Day. And so she gave us each a bit of this paper pad, and I decided to use that, and I'm just doing it upside down because I want to cut these into strips because I don't really have anywhere else to put journaling on this layout. There's no journaling card. I could have probably put some hidden journaling, but I didn't think about that, and everything's glued down already, so I decided to do it on these little paper strips. And having that grid paper was really helpful because I could skip a row in between each, and that would give me a place to cut my paper into these strips and have them be similarly sized in height. And so that worked out really well. It also gave a little bit of room for the ascenders and descenders when you skip that row, and that worked out. So it doesn't really matter. You don't have to think a lot about how long your writing is going to be on your page. You can just cut them and move them around as you see me doing here. You can see I'm going to cut this piece, move them over, move that to the front, and that works out really well, and it actually adds to like the texture and the design of the layout. And so my writing just says, we spent the morning at Villa Montalvo, we visited the Italian garden, the cactus garden, and we explored the Poet's Walk. The grounds are beautiful, and it was a nice change of scenery and pace for all of us. And that's pretty much going to take us to the end of the layout. I am going to add some sequins here in just a moment and some Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine. Oh, and I did add 2 of these cute little hearts. Those are from Head in the Clouds, I believe. I added a blue one at the bottom and a green one up at the top. And then I'm going to add some sequins and pretty much going to be done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed Off the Board, and this is a monthly hop that we do on the last Wednesday of the month all year. This month, Crystal has been doing it every day with several people playing along with her every day in July, so you can look out for that. If you are interested in seeing those videos, go check the links down below, and you can see everybody who's playing along for today. And there will be more videos tomorrow. I won't be having a video tomorrow, but I'll have a new one on Wednesday. That's the final day for this, and I think there will be quite a few people playing along on Wednesday. So go check those out. Leave Crystal some love. She started this last year, and we've been doing it all year, once a month. And the month of July she does every day. So that is quite an undertaking, but the idea is to get those pins off Pinterest and put them to use. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Here are the close-ups. Bye.